Howdy folks, the star of today's lore video is the Tribubble Bongo. Now the Gungan culture held that every object and device that they made should not only fulfill its assigned function, but should also speak of who the Gungans were. Gungans ensured that everything they constructed, from the Bongo submarines to their magnificent bubble cities, added to the beauty of their underwater world. Now with this in mind, each bongo was constructed with a care that went beyond the mere assembly and welding of parts together. Now a typical Tribubble Bongo, one of many different types of bongo submersible, seated 3 people in its central cockpit bubble, with 2 cargo bubbles on either side. No hatches or windows were used on these Gungan craft. Instead, a powerful hydrostatic field generator projected watertight bubbles of energy over the open sections of the hull. This technology was commonplace to the Gungans, who used it in their undersea bubble cities. However, beings unfamiliar with the device were often terrified by the concept that nothing more than a molecule-thin film of energy kept the ocean water from drowning them. Indeed, if a hydrostatic field failed, although this was a rare occurrence, the crew of a bongo would not survive to tell of it. The protective energy shields were generated in a unit just behind the cockpit bubble, sandwiched between the pulse conversion engine and the cargo bubbles. Now, force current field waves from the units were channeled along receptor prongs that acted as opposing poles, making the hydrostatic bubbles seamless. Air and water were held outside, while the bubble's power setting could be altered to allow denser, solid objects to pass through unhindered. Now, during their visit to Naboo, the Jedi Knights Qui-Gon Jinn, and Obi-Wan Kenobi were given the use of a Tribubble Bongo by the Gungan leader Boss Nass to take them to the city of Theed. Now, despite the concerns of their Gungan navigator Jar Jar Binks, Kenobi's piloting actually managed to transport them through the water-filled tunnels of the core caves and the treacherous undersea zone known as the Nocturne, albeit with a few terrifying moments. Now, when it came to the construction of a bongo submarine, it began not with hull plating or a metal framework, but with a seed of organic material. Now, little was known about this secretive Gungan process, but it appeared that the basic structure of the vessel was actually grown organically. Like a mollusk might grow itself a shell, or a human baby will grow bones and teeth, the skeleton of the bongo germinated into a tough, yet flexible, shape. Now, in the case of the Tribubble vessel, the shape was the rough triangular fuselage of the submarine. But Gungan artisans were also known to use the same technique to construct buildings and other kinds of vehicles. A flexible hull was plated onto this grey-white framework of bony cartilage, typically a polished shell-like material. The builders at the Outtro Gunga Bongo Maken Cooperative took pride in detailing each craft individually, so that the exterior scrollwork and etchings meant no 2 bongos were exactly alike. Now, the hulls were also fitted with bioluminescent pods that acted as navigation lights and illumination in the dark ocean depths. These light sources were actually also organic, grown from electrosensitive fungi and mosses. The central cockpit bubble typically had 3 seats, with a pilot console on the left side. A bongo's controls are relatively simple, with 2 main monitor dials that display data from the navigation sensor field, thrust vectors and steering information. Other sniffer sensors mounted in the front, just behind the forward diving plane, relayed readings on water quality and density to smaller gauges. A generic Gungan Hydrocom undersea comlink system was standard issue for these kinds of craft. Hands-on command of the bongo was through an elementary steering yoke and throttle arrangement. Now, in the event that the submarine was damaged beyond the capacity for immediate repair, the entire cockpit bubble could disengage from the bongo's hull to serve as an emergency escape pod. However, when cut off from the main power system, the energy-hungry hydrostatic bubble protecting the cockpit's inhabitants would soon drain the standby battery array. Once the unit had been detached, it was essential that it rise to the ocean's surface before power levels reached 0. The drive system of a bongo submersible was a unique and efficient technology that actually produced no residual emissions or byproducts, leaving the oceans that passed through undamaged. A rotating elliptical dome was fitted to the central section of the submarine's aft hull, connected to a powerful turbine engine. This power unit, an electric centrifugal conversion drive, provided energy not only for the motive system, but also for the hydrostatic bubble generators. 4 thin, flexible fins were attached to the rotating dome in matched pairs, each containing hundreds of electronic units linked in series. Now these units generated an electromotive field that pulsed along the length of each fin, pushing out the molecules of water surrounding them to provide the necessary thrust. Now the Bongo was actually capable of reaching speeds of over 80 kilometers an hour, and was even capable of travelling in reverse if necessary, simply just by using its shorter secondary pair of fins that would alter the polarity of their pulses to project water in the opposite direction. And that is the Tribubble Bongo from the Phantom Menace. So if you liked the video, be sure to leave a like, let me know what you thought of the video in the comment section down below, subscribe for more of my videos. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you all in the next one.